going to have to move across to the red side of Manchester now, Dave. And wow, the Erik ten Hag era started exactly as the Ralf Rangnick era finished, which was with a really miserable performance, wasn't it? Losing to Brighton 2-1, could have been more. What are your takeaways from this game, Dave? And I mean, how do you think Erik ten Hag is going to be processing this result going forward?
It's telling us a few things that we already know and we have known for a number of years. The midfield isn't good enough, and it's kind of a broken record now, really. It's worrying that the defence still, it seems like they've just, only been playing together a few weeks. Fair enough. Obviously, you got Adrien Martinez, who, to be fair, I don't think was at fault for either of the goals. Who's obviously a very new player. We seem to be making the same mistakes over and over, and it's really worrying that it's just happening continuously. And the midfield, the amount of gaps in our midfield, just so easy to play against. Bruno Fernandes has been under par for a long time.
Yeah. Space here for McTominay. McAllister reacts late, and Fernandes sweeps it over.
I think one thing Ten Hag did get wrong was playing Christian Eriksen in that false nine.
So weird.
I just thought everyone, if that was going to happen, I think everyone anticipated that Bruno would be in the false nine position and drop Eriksen a bit deeper, because once Eriksen did drop deeper in that second half, we looked far better.
It was so much better.
We weren't by no means, perfect. We weren't great still, but we looked more threatening. There was, as soon as Ronaldo came on, there was a system in place. We looked like we could potentially create something.
I cannot understand the idea of trying to start the season with a false number 9. I understand that Martial was injured and that he didn't feel like Ronaldo was ready to start the game. But surely you just move Rashford to the centre and play Elanga. That was the most obvious answer. How United have got to a point where Dave says he's frustrated talking about this repeatedly, and I completely understand. I'm actually looking forward to dissecting this, because there's so many obvious problems that as a neutral, it was really clear to identify. So take any bias about the board out of it. What I would say is the fact that United were willing to start the season with Fred and McTominay in centre midfield again is shocking. And that does boil down to really poor business. I've said from day one, I do not think they'll get Frenkie de Jong, and that they'll waste the entire transfer window trying to get Frenkie de Jong and end up with Fred and McTominay. That's exactly what happened. And actually, as Dave says, when Eriksen was allowed to drop deeper, he looked to make things happen from midfield, just as he did at Brentford last year, just as are his strengths right now. So Ten Hag picked to play one of his actual new midfielders out of position and completely nullify anything that he would be able to do in the first half. That was a bad decision. When you do have the squad, not of the best quality necessarily, to cater to your system a lot more. Elanga showed last season what he was capable of. Why didn't he start the game? That's what I couldn't work out. And Lisandro Martinez, again, I would have put him in midfield for this game. If you didn't have the starting lineup that you wanted, play Varane at the back. Because Martinez, you say Davey wasn't at fault for either of the goals. I thought he was at fault for a few other things. He definitely gave away a penalty that I don't know how it wasn't given. And in the first 15 seconds, him and Dalot kind of got confused and looked like they could have conceded. And immediately they were off to the wrong start. The momentum was against them from the second that lineup came out. As soon as you saw Fred and McTominay in that midfield, Brighton would have gone, brilliant, we've got this. We've got nothing to worry about up front, because Eriksen is not going to be running in behind our defenders, which is actually probably the best way of getting at Brighton. They haven't got the paciest centre-backs. You want to put balls through the channels and get behind their defenders. You couldn't do that in this game. And it was the wrong system picked. And I don't know whether that's Ten Hag being naive and not knowing the league yet, not knowing his squad yet, not having people fit, or the failings of the board to not give him the adequate resources. Because you are not going to get Frenkie de Jong. And apparently the backup now that they're finally looking at is Adrien Rabiot and Marko Arnautovic. You've got a disrupted dressing room that are leaking things every 5 seconds, and your answer to fix it and make it more harmonious is to bring in Marko Arnautovic and Adrien Rabiot.
It's ridiculous.
How either of you deal with it.
It's like an Igalo situation all over again, that kind of signing. We signed Igalo a few seasons back. No good.
Nice guy though, and Igalo wasn't there to lead your line or be someone. He was there as cover, as an experienced pro, a professional player. I'm not getting that Arnautovic. How on earth are him and Cristiano Ronaldo going to get on in the dressing room? And then you go, not sure that's enough. Tell you what, we'll bring Rabiot in, who's known for retiring from France at 23 because he didn't get picked for a squad and threw his toys out the pram. And then negotiating a massive contract with Juventus to get out of PSG. And now he's unsettled there. So you go, we'll have him instead. It's someone's got to have a plan. Someone has, surely.